Good morning. Good morning. Another morning, another chance to have a conversation and just shoot the breeze. So, today, what I was thinking about was, watching football, watching rugby, watching sports. All I see today is just the amount of gambling and just these lottery houses and gambling houses have taken over, hey? Taken over everything. If you think of how DraftKings has taken over social media, Betway has taken over sports teams, Hollywood bets. I believe that our rugby players, when they do those adverts for like Hollywood bets and stuff like that, they don't, they're not no longer having endorsements. It's part of their contract, and that's how clubs are making money. They're basically selling their players to do ads. That's crazy, right? But this lotto thing is real. If you look at the amount of money that is generated through the lottery system, right? You find that it's tapping into something within us as human beings. And I've played the lotto before, but I don't think I've ever spent more than 100 rand, right? It's I'm not betting my house on it. If I'm playing the lotto, if I'm gambling with somebody, it's for fun. So yeah, 100 rand at most, I think. Um, so I get the lure of it, but it's just fascinating, this lotto thing, right? So if you look at a lot of promotional campaigns in South Africa, from retail stores to food chains to almost everything, pharmaceuticals, there's always this thing, oh, buy this thing and get a chance to win a phone, get a chance to win a car, get a chance to win your share of 100,000 rand, right? And this lotto mentality has entered every part of society. And what's funny is that's just a manifestation of something that has always been in us. In terms of the way we live our lives. It's we're always looking for that one partner who will save us. We're always looking for that one opportunity to change our lives. We're always looking for that one thing that'll save us from whatever. And it goes down to so many levels. The way we treat business. Let me speak for myself and my family. Observing my parents as a kid growing up. They always started new businesses, and a part of it was that hope of something new that's going to happen, that this business is going to bring. The moment the rubber meets the road, it's not fun anymore. That hope starts to die, and something different is in the process of being birthed, right? If you stick in a business long enough, or in a relationship long enough, that newness, that one that dies, but something different gets born. And a lot of people don't stick around long enough to see it get born, right? A lot of people do as well. So it's not like there's only a few people who do, but we all do in certain circumstances, right? Some people might stick around in a marriage or a relationship or a friendship, but they might not stick around when it comes to business, right? They might stick around when it comes to business, but when it comes to religion, they don't stick around, right? I'm not a guy who sticks around when it comes to religion, but there is a benefit to that, right? Anyways, to bring it home, what I was saying is, I kind of watched my parents. I watched my parents bounce from one business to another throughout my life, and with up and down success with every business, put food on the table. So in a way they were successful, in a way they weren't, because they didn't achieve the goals that my parents had for those businesses. I remember the one business that my dad did. He started a computer training business before ICDL took over, and ICDL was a thing, and these colleges sprung up. He actually had a business training computers, but the model didn't work because he was having to rent the office space, rent the computers, because it was those big Windows 9, was it 95? It was before 95. Windows computers, those big ones, and So you had to rent the space, rent the computers, and pay the teachers or the tutors to teach, right? Train them, teach them, and then have them teach. So it had a lot of overheads, and it was still very, very new. And, so if they had been able to survive long enough, that would have been a home run business for my dad, right? So anyways, so watching that for me as a kid growing up, when I started doing that myself, I started a number of businesses, and I kind of started seeing patterns and learning from the patterns in my family, looking at my parents, looking at my siblings, and realizing we're very good at coming up with ideas. Oh, this is a great idea, let's do this and this and this. And at some point you have to realize you're getting stuck at stage one of, oh, that's a great idea, I love it, I want to do this, right? And let me go down into my business, right? As an accountant, earlier on there was a shiny object syndrome, which is the Lotto thing that we're talking about, where there were these opportunities, right? Big investors are looking for companies to invest in. People are looking for money. I can connect the two and make a lot of money in the middle, and that created this thing where you're always chasing the next deal, and when a few deals go bad and you're left with nothing, you kind of have to confront yourself and say, okay, what am I doing here? What am I missing? What am I building, right? And when I looked at it, I said, these big deals that I've been chasing are the shiny object. I need something real. And I was inspired by my mechanic, Rick's mechanic in Randburg. He's been doing it for 30 years. And I just thought about that. He's been consistently showing up to the same business for 30 years. And there was just something about that that's like, wow, he stuck with it. He saw it through. And I looked at a number of other businesses around the area in Randburg, and it was something to look at, to observe people who've been in the business for decades. They've handed over some of them have handed over the business to their children, and things like that. And I spent quite a lot of time with Rick's mechanics. Rick, great mechanic, beautiful customer service. He's really good. And spending time with him, he fixed my car, he worked on my brother's car, worked on my dad's car, so he did a lot of work for us. Amazing guy. And just spending time with those people, realizing there's another layer to this. He had also encountered people like me earlier, where were involved in some of the deals that I was involved in at the time. And speaking to somebody who's been in the game for 30 years, it's a different thing. It's kind of like there's this single guy who just dates girls around and he wants to be married. And when you speak to somebody who's been married for 30 years, it's a different conversation, right? It's we're in a different league altogether. And so for me, doing that introspection and realizing, okay, I got to stop chasing these deals. I've got to build a base business, have annual recurring revenue, and and how do I do that, right? I got to go and offer the day-to-day services that businesses need, and that is the base. This other stuff is fun stuff that I can do and have a good time when the opportunities align, right? And we're working on building the systems to do that, but you can't be chasing deals like that. And so the more I started walking away from those types of situations, the more I was able to be much more present in my own business, right? And to start to actually look at it and grow it, right? And say, what am I lacking here? What am I doing wrong here? What can I fix? How can I improve this? How can I grow this, right? And there isn't that infatuation anymore. Something that dies, right? And something new comes in where it's just repetition. It's not even discipline. It's similar to running, right? Where I run because I am, right? I'm a runner, right? And when you show up to your business, and it's kind of like, you wake up every day and you breathe. So you show up to your business and you show up to the ugly side of it, to the bad side of it. Why? Because If your business is terrible, if your business is ugly, guess what? It's because you're not doing certain things, or you're doing certain things, right? Everything in your business is up to you to fix. Everything comes from you, you know. And so in that, you find, okay, you gotta move, you gotta graduate from this exploring and trying something new and trying to find that thing that will click, to finding something that's why people talk about passion and all of that. It's about finding something that you can wake up and do every day, even when you don't want to, right? So running is that for me. The days I don't feel like running and I'm tired and I'm totally knackered, I've only had 2 hours of sleep, I'm able to go out there and run. At worst, I will walk or do intermittent runs, right? Same thing with my business and other things, right? On the worst of days, I can show up and do something in the business and just grow it. On the best of days, right? I'm having a great time, you know. So graduating from this Lotto mindset, that's why I started moving away from, even gambling and playing Lotto. I just wanted to get away from that mindset. I had to move away from lucrative deals and things like that. That could have worked out. And I would have made a ton of money. But I don't know if that's what I'm building, right? You gotta, if you believe in what you believe in, you gotta just go for it, you know, and stop wasting time. There is no one coming to save you. You're saving yourself, you know, and we all heard this before, but I think coming back to the Lotto in South Africa, it's almost like, if you think about it, the Lotto is this machine that its input is people's hopes and dreams, and its output is money into somebody else's pocket, right? And all these people across the world, I know people, I think we all know people who like always at Hollywood bets, or, you know, sports bets, or at the tavern, something, you know, things like that. And, you know, they're just hoping that one day is bad, right? And they put a lot of money in, and sometimes they get something, and that gives them hope, and they keep going, right? And then somebody wins the Lotto, and then next thing we see them on I Blew It, right? And we hear the stories. And, you know, some of the stories that don't necessarily make it to like I Blew It is when people actually die after winning the Lotto. And, you know, you gotta build something in you, you know, and we all gotta go through that journey, right? Of owning our lives as they are, showing up to your life in the good and the bad and the ugly, and being present in it. And I think that's what life is trying to do. And every time we play the Lotto, we're trying to escape that reality, right? A lot of decisions in general are us trying to escape our lives. We escape boredom. We're afraid of, if this happens, then what does that mean? We're afraid of feeling the emotion. We're afraid of facing the consequence. And a lot of times when you sit in it, you realize it's never as bad as you think it is. You're almost always better off just sitting in it and dealing with it and figuring it out, you know. And that's what I've been learning lately. You know, when you try to grow the business, and, you know, you gotta have some difficult conversations and things like that, just show up, you know, just, you know, keep trudging. You know, anyways, Lotto, how do I wrap this up in a nice, clean way? I think it's okay. I think it's okay to gamble from time to time, but you got to be careful to make sure in your own life, you're not gambling with everything. When it comes to your love life, you're gambling. You want the one guy who will do this, will do that. You get what I'm saying? You want the one girl who's going to be the it girl, right? And you're trying to escape your own boring life, or you want to escape your insecurity by getting this person. You can't keep treating life like a lottery. You can't keep hoping that something will happen that will make you feel better. You can't keep drinking and thinking that you will just wake up feeling better, right? And escaping your life, trying to escape your life. Being born, the odds of being born are so staggering that being alive is a lottery in itself. You've won the lotto. You're alive on earth. It's just phenomenal how much this is a once in a lifetime opportunity because there are trillions and the trillions and the trillions of souls that could have been here that are not here, but you are here. So you just got to be careful that you're not trying to escape the realities of your life. You're not trying to escape. You've got to show up to your life, and in that, all the other things will come. Seek first the kingdom, and all these other things will come, right? So it's always a story of, if you look at Mr. Beast, MKBHD, these YouTubers who started at 15, 14, and for 10 years, there wasn't much. They were present, right? So if they were chasing the lotto, 10 years of chasing the lotto, right? They wouldn't be where they are, you know. And then you just see at some point, things just go lottery style, right? And you gotta be seeking that ride, at least, you know, if you're gonna go that route. But you gotta be careful that the lotto doesn't take you away from what you're actually seeking, right? If you keep jumping from one opportunity to the next, and what you're seeking is to build financial security, you're not gonna get it being a middleman or chasing deals, right? You could, you know, I'm not saying you're not gonna get it, but I'm just saying, if you're seeking something else, this could be the thing that leads you away from that. You know, so that's kind of the thought for the day. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you enjoy this. If you do, hey, give it a like. Let me know in the comments what you think. It'll be interesting to see. I don't get a lot of views yet on this channel, which is something I'm enjoying, because I'm getting to get my thoughts out there and just practice speaking. I grew up doing public speaking. I guess that's a story for tomorrow. Cheers, guys.